Hello, hello. This is day 3. Welcome to day 3. I can't believe it's day 3. And happy Wednesday, happy hump day, happy everything day, and welcome. So today's theme is explore. We are thinking about how you can use art as a way of exploring what's going on for you, what's going on in your world, and seeing things in a different way. Perhaps viewing things from a different perspective. And the way that this can help with your mindset and with emotions and by going through different things is that by seeing things in a different way, you can shift the meaning of it. Hi Catherine, hello, good to see you. And so we're going to be thinking about ways to create some art if you are exploring ideas, and how you might be able to make something different out of something quite boring and quite ordinary. So in the prompt this morning in my video, I talked about how explore was the theme. You're going out and exploring and maybe looking at things, and it could be that you can take photographs. Maybe you're on a walk and you're looking and seeing different signs of nature, or different, like how nature's really bloomed. Hi Katie, hello. So how nature's really changed just now as kind of summer's in full bloom, and how different that was at the beginning of the year, and really notice those things and be aware of the colours. Like round at a family member's house the other day, I was really aware of how big the lilies were, and there were some really bright yellow lilies and some really bright pink ones, and I couldn't believe it. And sometimes we can take these things for granted, and it's when you choose to look at the surroundings and look intentionally that you can actually maybe appreciate things a little bit more. So part of that exploration might mean that you choose to draw something that everybody's art is going to be different, and that is something that I have really enjoyed seeing this week. Those of you that have chosen to share images that you've made, thank you so much. If you've decided not to share, that's absolutely fine. I really appreciate you being here, and I would encourage you to watch these videos and take what you find useful from them. So it might be that there's certain things further down the line, as of course we're keeping this group open. This group's been a long-standing group and it's not been very active for a little while. My intention is to be able to keep this going and build some momentum. So what I'm going to do in this live is something where I'm going to grab some different objects and create something that might turn out to be interesting. It might turn out to be useful, unique. It might turn out to be sort of nothing. But make something creative from some of the different objects around me and see things in different ways. So one of the things that comes to mind when I think about drawing from different viewpoints and perspectives is the artist Picasso and the Cubist movement. So George Braque, another artist, would be the sort of pioneers of Cubism, where they would be creating abstract art, and it was very, very different at the time. They were very much challenged on what they were doing, and they were having to really stick to their decisions of, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm exploring. And the idea of that is that, say if it was a portrait, you might draw a portrait from the front, turn your head round, draw over the top from the side, and then draw maybe from the opposite side. So you would see a face that would be maybe like sort of a front position, very sort of straightforward face, no details here. And then you might do a side position, so you come for a nose and then bring that down and have a mouth open, and then go down for a chin, come up here, we might have an eye there. And then what that might mean is joining these bits together, so you end up having a very abstract face that doesn't look realistic, but it could look like, you get these things that are like, are abstract, and rather than thinking, well, that's not a portrait of me, that doesn't look anything like me, it can be a way of creating a picture that experiments, where you're experimenting with different ideas, or you're experimenting with maybe how you might express yourself in different ways. So you could think about different emotions that you're including with that as well. So the other idea, the other thing that they did with cubism is that they would have maybe an object. So say like if I've got a cup here, if I was drawing from that side, then I might draw it like with a circle, and then I've got sort of a line here. That's the sort of viewpoint from there. And then if I was drawing it sort of this way around, then I might be going for more of that sort of cylinder shape. And I'm drawing it on top of each of the other one. So it's creating like that difference. And you could draw it from the bottom and have another angle. This doesn't look 3D, so I could add some shading and things into that. So you'd end up having something that looks really abstract because of attempting to draw things and choosing to draw things differently. And when you, in your art, if you are making art as a therapeutic tool, as a way of maybe exploring some of your emotions, exploring some of your experiences, it can be really empowering to choose to draw things in a way that is different to how you see them. So drawing the sky purple, for instance, or drawing maybe something out of context. So what's often maybe talked about in the art world is that juxtaposition of things. So it could be that you'd have maybe an alien inside a trainer, and it would be kind of a bit of a weird thing. Or you can change a trainer and do something quite surreal where the trainer then goes for a run and you send that going running. So it's an opportunity to not only be looking at your surroundings and seeing things in different ways, but for you to change them and to place them down in different ways. So if you've been looking for nature and finding sort of natural objects, this is a pine cone. I'm seeing a lot of pine cones at the moment. Something you could do, there's lots and lots of things you could do artwork with this. You could make this pine cone into something decorative. Around sort of seasonally, around Christmas time or autumn time, it could be a wreath, it could be part of that. You could maybe use some wire and hang things up. It could be maybe painted or sprayed and created into a bauble. You could even make it into like a little character, a little kind of nature person. Or you could even decide to take these bits apart and do something with this. So you could even paint with it if you wanted to. We could decide to kind of, actually it's taking longer to come apart than I thought. So you could arrange these down. Like, do you remember, you might remember being a kid, like when you were a kid, making pictures out of pasta or rice or lentils and things. So we stick those things down. And actually as an adult, there's something really nice about doing things that you maybe, something maybe a bit rebellious about doing something that is maybe perceived as for children, because it's not. And the fact that you are choosing to do it is part of that honouring your own needs and having fun and doing something that feels fun. So this could be arranged in kind of a way that could, I don't know, It could be that you arrange like these things into a pattern. It could be that you maybe get some paint out, and we could set up some paint and use the natural objects to paint with. So I've picked the first colour that I could see, so it doesn't match the colour of this, but I like the idea of just dipping the paint into a natural object, and I'm exploring what I'm doing. Actually, I have never done this before. I've never used a pine cone to paint with before, and there'll be lots of things that you might be trying for the first time. I'm dotting this down. You might even, like with a brush, you might dip your brush in the water to kind of get it more like runny, so the paint goes runny. We might bring in some other things. This could be made into a picture of a pine cone, or made into something else. It could be anything. So if you decided if you were at a point where you were thinking, I'm wanting to make some art, and I feel quite calm, feel quite regulated, I feel like I've done some art to feel sort of calm, or to boost my mood so I'm feeling grounded, then the type of art that you do might be more exploratory, like experimenting or expressive. And the reason why you can do that when you're feeling grounded, which is that nervous system regulation, when you're feeling good, when your mood is good, when your energy levels are balanced, shall we say, is because you can then focus better. You can create art in flow. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna make some art about that, this is where ideas come in. If you've got loads and loads of ideas all of a sudden, it's because you've got your nervous system balanced. You've done the work to do that. It might be that you've chosen to go for a walk. It might be that you've intentionally drank more water today, and that's made you feel balanced. If you're feeling wobbly, then doing some of these types of experiments can still help. However, just be mindful of the intentions of that, because you might find that you're more sensitive to certain things that are happening. You might feel more sensitive to something unexpected happening. So it might be challenging for you to experiment with something completely. So that's where I am at with this today. So there's so many different things that you can do in your art to explore. And in the same way that you might want to explore a theme, a topic, an idea, you might want to develop a project that feels that maybe matches where you're at now, or matches something you want to express, and you might want to do a bit of experiments with that. You might want to do a bit of personal sort of testing to try out different things, and that's what could be really helpful for you. So I'm going to just spend kind of the next 10 minutes doing a bit of a doodling with some of these, and I'll talk through what I'm going to do. I've just found this is what happens when I've set art materials up and taken things out of boxes. I found like a little stamp. So it's unlikely that, well, it's possible that you will have things, not necessarily a stamp like this, but it's a star. But it's possible that you will have things that are lying around your home that you find in the street, or in a field, or in the park, or in the countryside, or something, like a leaf, or like an object, or a sweet wrapper, for instance, that then becomes something that you can make art from. So like this sweet wrapper, I suppose we could have a think about that, couldn't we? Like, what could you do with a sweet wrapper? Like, I could think of some things that I could maybe do with that. And my first thing was that I could use the yellow and cut it up and make it into something, maybe make it into a flower petal or something like that. And then I was thinking that I could tear it and fold it and make it into something sort of sculptural. I've chosen, like we've got the logo on there, I've chosen to remove that. And that's a personal choice, that I could end up folding this into like a little fan or like little back and forth folds. And that could be quite a cute thing, or it might be that that becomes maybe something you could roll it up into a ball, chuck it away. You don't need to do anything with it. There's no pressure at all. So what else have I got lying around with me? I've got a rubber. So with a rubber, this is something that you could, similar to what I did with a cup. So it might be that you find some objects and draw around them loads and loads of times, for instance. So like that could be drawing around them. And then really simple for maybe wanting to give yourself either something that feels easy to start with, or because drawing round this can be relatively straightforward in terms of an idea. For someone that's got mobility issues, or hand issues, then drawing round something can be hard because you're having to put pressure on the rubber. But what that means is that you're creating something that's a new thing from something really simple. So an alternative could be that you really lean into experimenting, doing different things with different materials. I feel as though the challenge today was maybe challenging enough, but if you're wanting an extra little challenge, I'd encourage you to go and try out some different materials that you haven't used before. So think about what sort of materials you've got and which things you feel comfortable using and which things you think might be more less familiar, and have a go at using those, or and see what arises. So there's certain things that people might be drawn to. I know a lot of people that really like sort of oil pastels, and that's what I had out before when I was doing the drawings yesterday. And then I like people, there's people that might prefer to use chalks like these. However, I know a lot of people that when it comes to the chalks, they might find it hard because they might not like this sound. And actually it's up to you what you decide to use, because sometimes, or they might not like how it feels, because sometimes the effects that you have and the effects that you have in your art is worth it. So if there's a reason why you may be not drawn to a material, if you're thinking, I don't like using chalks because I don't like the sound, there's so many different ways around that. You could listen to music, you could have a podcast in your ear so you don't hear that. If the challenge, and that would be a way of avoiding the sound, it could be that you use a small amount at a time and then gradually expose yourself to that sound so the sound feels less challenging over time. Similarly, if you were touching a certain texture of art materials, sometimes people don't do finger painting at all when they're an adult, or they might not like how it feels on their fingers, but then they might actually enjoy this. So they might not want to do touching with your fingers with the chalks or with a paint. However, you might like how the movement of your fingers feels. You might not like how your hand is, but you might like how it is overall. So one way of doing that, of avoiding touching, is to wear some gloves. I've worked with lots of people who have maybe struggled with chalks, and they've worn gloves, and actually they've been able to create some things that really express how they're feeling and something about their internal world, something that matters to them. Whereas if I'd not provided those gloves, they might not have made something that matched where they're at. because they really liked the colours and the pastels of these chalks, and they really liked how they blended together, but not how it felt in their hand. So this is a way for me to sort of give you some of these little tips as ways in. And I suppose the intention of this isn't to it's not necessarily going to be sort of easy peasy. There can still be challenges, and embracing those challenges and frustrations is really important. And that's what maybe takes a bit of courage, because things might not go according to plan. However, it's given you sort of a way in to do more, and to feel that you can do more. And much like if I was a personal trainer for physical exercise and I'm helping you to do different things, I would maybe give you, there could be exercises that are adapted to meet your physical needs. So it just means that you can create in art and using creativity for healing or self-expression can be much more accessible, and you can decide what you do. So we've got lots and lots of ideas there, lots of different options. Ultimately, when you are experimenting with stuff and creating things, exploring ideas, you might want to work on sheets of paper like this. You might, again, want to work in a sketchbook, sort of like that. Sometimes you might want to stick things in. So I've got a couple of pages here where this was made on paper and it's been glued in. Other times you could even create a picture and then cut that up into small sheets and make a little book out of it. So there's so many different ideas. You could even do a painting and then make that into something 3D. So it's up to you. Okay. So that's all from me today. I am looking forward to coming live again tomorrow night, and that's when you'll be set a prompt again tomorrow. And a sneaky preview of that is that the theme's about explore. So as I said at the start, we've got the focus 5 elements of art therapy and art healing, therapeutic art, and it's that sense of activate, regulate, explore, express, empower. So we're going to be thinking about ways that you can express yourself. So you can start to express yourself anytime. All of these would have been expressing yourself in some way, but tomorrow's exercise is purely about tuning into that. So thanks for watching, and I will see you soon. Let me know if you've got any questions or things that you want to think about. We've just got 2 days left of this 5-day challenge. So if there's anything that you want me to cover tomorrow when we're talking about self-expression, or on Friday when we're talking about how art can be empowering and help you to step into your power and feel empowered, then let me know. So thanks so much. See you later.